I'll start things off with what we saw. Minnesota last night, Karl-Anthony Towns limped off the court. We don't know 100% what that injury is, so look into that, or don't look into that. See what they say. You physically should not be looking into Karl-Anthony Towns' knee injury. That would be bizarre. Do not do your own research. Naz Reid and Kyle Anderson are guys you can probably explore adding off the waiver wire. Naz Reid, 67% rostered. Kyle Anderson, 26% rostered. So if you average those out, it's about 50%. So I'm not breaking the rules. Reid as a starter last year averaged 17 and 7, 2 assists, a steal and a block, 33 fantasy points in 26 minutes. Kyle Anderson as a starter last year, 11, 6, and 6 with about a steal and a block, 30 fantasy points in 31 minutes. I don't know 100% know what they'll do here. It's possible they start Naz and then give Kyle Anderson some more minutes. It's possible they start Kyle Anderson and then bring Naz off the bench so he can play some backup behind Rudy Gobert. But I think either way, both of these guys are seeing more minutes and more usage.
Yeah, I didn't know Kyle Anderson. He's shooting a career worst 10% from behind the arc this season. 10%. It really does. It's a problem for their offense. I know they won last night against the Lakers, but they really need a catch and shoot guy at the trade deadline. And they should make the moves. They're top of the West. But I like those picks. And I'm sure, though, you're not cheering for Karl-Anthony Towns' injury, Alex, right?
No, I mean, I wish Naz Reid would play 40 minutes a game next to Karl-Anthony Towns and Gobert, but apparently that's not good basketball. What do I know? All right, Ken, who are you going to?
I'm going with, I think we've had him in the waiver wire section 4 times a year for the last 4 years. Donte DiVincenzo of your New York Knicks. He's only rostered on 11% of teams on Yahoo. He was inserted as a starter on December 8th, at which point he's been averaging 12 points, almost 4 rebounds, 2 assists, and 1.3 steals with great shooting percentage. The team is thin with injuries, so it means even more monster minutes for DiVincenzo. We know Tibbs loves to play guys. And the Knicks have 4 games next week. I love Donte DiVincenzo as a streaming option. We'll also get you some threes, steals, just nice production across the board for 4 games next week.
All right. Good recommendation. We're going to stick in New York.
Okay.
We talked about this guy last week, but I think it deserves another mention given the developments. Mm-hmm. Isaiah Hartenstein. It is finally Harten time with my boy Hartenstein. With Mitch Robb out for the year, Jericho Sims is now injured as well. He's going to be out at least a week. The Knicks have to play Hartenstein. He was forced into the starting lineup, and he's performing well. Over the past 4 games, 32 minutes per 7.5 points, 11.3 rebounds, and 2.5 blocks. He's a monster with field goal percentage, 68%. Free throw percentage is really the biggest concern, 57% over those 4 games. But unless New York brings in another center, I would have to imagine Hartenstein holds on to that role for at least as long as Sims is out. But my guess is he plays well enough to keep Sims at bay and really sees this role for the first time, maybe ever. Hartenstein will get a prolonged look in the starting lineup. There's a lot of believers out there, a lot of hype within the fantasy basketball industry with Hartenstein. I am not a believer, but he's actually going to get the minutes now. He's going to get the minutes, so hopefully he succeeds. He's rostered in 54% of Yahoo leagues. If he's available in your league, give him a look.
Well, we're going to see Randall at center a lot too, which is another reason I'm kind of keen on DiVincenzo. But Hartenstein, we know he'll be nice across multiple categories. Just wish he had done a little more when he started last year, the same kind of when Mitch Robinson got hurt again. Bummer Robinson's out for the year. That stinks for his managers.
It does. One other thing that stinks for managers if you dropped him is that now Talen Horton-Tucker is playing really well. 45% rostered. from the Utah Jazz. He did sit out last night's win over the Pistons with foot soreness. Some people would say that's probably why they won that game. But in the 9 prior games, Talen Horton-Tucker, he has averaged 16 points, 5 assists, 2 rebounds, 1.6 steals, shooting 50, 44, 75. Jordy Clarkson and Keontae George are still nursing injuries. Clarkson had like a thigh injury. It's going to be reevaluated soon, but I don't think there's any rush to bring him back. George is kind of day to day. Jazz have 3 games next week. We know the Talen Horton-Tucker story. Playing while he's hot, playing while he's getting minutes, and then when he goes back to playing like 18, 20 minutes, you can probably drop him in most leagues. Go ahead, Ken.
Well, before I go into my second pick, fans, if you like our videos, please hit like and subscribe below, please. I have another repeat name as well. Derrick Jones, guard forward for your Dallas Mavericks, only rostered in 22% of squads on Yahoo. He's been starting all season. Battled a little quad injury last week, which dropped some of his management percentages. But look, last 10 games, over 13 points, almost 4 rebounds, 2.3 stocks, while shooting a very nice 49% from the field, almost hitting 2 threes a game, and shooting a very nice 83% from the free throw line. The Mavericks have 4 games next week. So much like DiVincenzo, Jones is also a very safe, productive, across-the-board streaming option next week.
I think so. Yeah. I mean, with the Dallas is just cannot be healthy. And as long as he's playing minutes.
Even if you're in a daily league, he's in a shallower daily league. Jones is a great pickup for tonight. Dallas, we'll talk about later, is absolutely really decimated right now. Yeah. Luka's out. Kyrie's, this is just for Friday's game. Yeah, Exum and Luka and Kyrie all out. So I would not be surprised to see Jones have a big game on Friday. My second pick is a name everyone will be familiar with. Grayson Allen, guard wingman for the Phoenix Suns, 35% rostered on Yahoo. Grayson Allen has surprisingly been solid pretty much all year. I almost recommended him last week, but he was dealing with a minor injury. He's playing a career-high 33 minutes per game for the Suns, averaging 12 points, 4.6 rebounds, just under 1 steal, 0.9, and 2.2 three-pointers made. Great percentages, 48.6, which from the floor, which is a career high, and 89.1% from the free throw line. 12 teamers, 14 teamers, especially if you need 3-pointers. Grayson Allen absolutely deserves to be rostered. Over the past week, he is the 52nd ranked player on a per game value basis. 10 teamers probably can avoid him unless you really are desperate for 3-pointers, but 12 team and 14 team leagues, he should 100% be rostered.
Thank you, Shannon. Excellent advice. Alex, who is your long shot pick? I think you're going with a former Celtic.
Former Celtic, Aaron Nesmith, 21% roster on Yahoo. Last 7 games for him, 14 points, 3 rebounds, 2.5 stocks, 54% from the field in 26 minutes. The biggest issue for him, kind of his limiting factor, continues to be his foul trouble. 4.7 fouls per 36. This was also an issue for him in Boston. But Obi Toppin just he's not going to happen. He's just
passive.
Yeah, he's passive. He's just not that good.
He can't rebound. He's 6'9". Get a rebound.
Nesmith is like one of the Pacers' only positive defenders as well, besides Miles Turner, maybe Bruce Brown, but he's undersized. Pacers have 3 games next week, so it's not ideal. But again, Nesmith, if you're in a 14-team league, I think it's fine to just keep him on your bench. And just kind of see what this turns into.
Hustle guy. Help your stocks. Yeah, and nice percentages this season.
He's been really good. Yeah, he's closing out games too. Like he's not starting over Toppin, but Nesmith does close out most games for the Pacers.
Yeah. If you watch those New Balance ads, in the back right, Nesmith, you can just barely see him at the end. New Balance signed him to a deal because they're in New England when he was a first-round pick of the Celtics. Probably regretting it.
Is he doing like lateral movement, cone drills?
He's at the end. They all cross arms and do like a cool team photo, and he's back right behind a legitimate star's shoulder. Maybe Murray. I can't remember. All right. Now, nice. Love that long shot. I have a super duper long shot. If you need point guard help, undrafted rookie Craig Porter for your Cleveland Cavaliers. Only rostered in 5% of leagues out there. Look, the Cavs only have 2 games next week. This is a speculative pick if you have room on your bench. But notice it was Porter and not Karis LeVert that was starting at point guard for the Cavs. Now that Garland's out multiple weeks with a jaw injury, Porter started the last 2 games, had 11 assists last night, and had a loss to the Pelicans. He had 3 blocks the prior game versus Utah. Anyway, big minutes in both games. Anyway, point guards are valuable in deep leagues. Think about Craig Porter.
Man, I thought you were having a stroke.
Always a possibility. Always.
I mean, speaking of stroke, Craig Porter's great. If you're a DFS player, you're probably very familiar with Craig Porter. He had monster rostership the past 2 nights, starting in place of Donovan Mitchell. I love that suggestion, Ken. My long shot and our final waiver wire pickup of the show is Trayce Jackson-Davis, TJD, 19%. All right, I love that you love it, Ken, and I love you. TJD is 19% rostered on Yahoo. You know, it hasn't been. He's the guy who has stepped up for the Warriors in the front court, which with Draymond out. You know, it hasn't been Kevon Looney. Kuminga's been solid. Saric, a lot of people. Saric was, he was a big part of the rotation earlier in the season. Had a very strong shooting stretch, but Trayce Jackson-Davis has just kind of come out of nowhere. He's providing the Warriors with a defensive presence in the post that they really don't get with Looney. In the most recent game, or back-to-back games, actually, he has topped 35 fantasy points. In those 2 games, he's played 23.5 minutes, 12 points, 10.5 rebounds, 1 steal, and 2 blocks. I think this kid could really start to earn more minutes and steal those minutes from Looney even after Draymond returns. So he's an immediate streaming option for 12-team, 14-team leagues. And I do believe that he could, he's the last few games at least, he's productive even with limited minutes. So I think it's worth taking a chance on him, see if he can stick in the rotation long term.
He was a victim in the draft of ageism. It's like they punished him for playing 4 years at Indiana. His senior season at Indiana was awesome. 21 points, 11 rebounds, and almost 3 blocks a game. Shocking he fell that late. But, hey, kudos to the Warriors.
Yeah, he's averaging 1.1 fantasy points per minute. That's a great mark. He's also already one of the better offensive rebounders in the NBA. We need a little bit more of a sample for that, but
all right, let's look
from him.
Let's end with some drop suggestions, and I'm going to suggest a controversial one that I thought would be a hot pickup, but Karis LeVert. First of all, the Cavs only have 2 games next week, but unlike Porter, LeVert has not really exploded with all this injuries to the Cavalier guards. Kind of a disappointment. And then I'll throw out there Malik Beasley. Beasley was hot early. Bucks only have 3 games next week. Beasley was a little dinged up, though I think you're pro Beasley, right, Alex?
Oh, I'm not pro Malik Beasley.
Okay.
In general, in real life. I mean, look, he's fine as a shooter, but there's a reason the Bucks defense is bad, and especially in the backcourt. And yes, A, it's Damian Lillard, but also B, it's Beasley. Again, he's fine as a 3-point specialist, but I'm okay with dropping him.
Yeah. Using Beasley as your perimeter stopper on the defensive side. I seen him try to guard Cade against the first game against Pistons was hilarious to me. I think Beasley, it's kind of the same thing we've seen in the past, right? When we've recommended him a couple times this season. Yeah. If you need 3-pointers, he's going to be a solid option. 10-teamers, probably not. 12-team, 14 teams could still hold. It just depends on your format. But if you don't need 3-pointers, it's not really worth rostering. LeVert, I'm going to push back on more. I think he's a hold for as long as Garland and Mitchell are out. Once Mitchell returns, which will be soon. Mitchell is just dealing with an illness right now. But LeVert, last night's game, take it with a grain of salt. It was the second game of a back-to-back, and it was kind of out of hand. New Orleans was pretty much running away with it, so LeVert only played 23 minutes off the bench. The previous 2 games before that, he played 27 minutes in each game, averaged 17.5 points, 5 rebounds, 6 assists, 1.5 steals, and 2.5 three-pointers. So,
okay, Avs only have 2 games next week.
I know. I get it.
The honeymoon's got to be over with Goga Batista. Got the DNP the other day for the Magic with Carter back. And one of you guys added Caleb Martin to the notes.
I did. Because his minutes have been down lately, past 2 games. He saw 22 minutes on the 18th. 2 days ago against the Magic, he saw 18 minutes. And he scored a combined 7 points, 8 rebounds, 3 assists, 2 blocks, 3 steals, 0 blocks. I don't know if he's like you must drop him, but I would just keep an eye on what's going on with the rotation. Jimmy Butler's out tonight, so he could have a big game, but I would just be careful.
JJ is getting his way.
It's definitely something. Caleb Martin's definitely something to watch. He is still starting. Jimmy Butler also missed the most recent game. So it was concerning to see Martin only play 18 minutes. But yeah, Triple J and Tyler Hero being back are the 2 big changes there.